addition, the third respondent and the requisite power to postpone election in the constituencies, counties, and wards in question. Concerning the allegation of voter suppression, we note that voter suppression is generally recognized as a political strategy which takes many forms, but whose practical effect is ultimately to reduce voting by deliberately influence the outcome of an election. It therefore goes against the letter and the spirit of Article 38, which guarantees every citizen the right to make political choices based on universal suffrage. As regards this allegation, it has not been shown that by postponing elections in the named electoral units, IEBC acted in bad faith or was influenced by irrelevant factors and considerations. From the explanation tendered, we are satisfied that the postponement was occasioned by a genuine mistake, which in our view could have been avoided had the members and staff of IEBC been more diligent when they went to inspect the templates in the place where the printing of ballot papers was undertaken. In the absence of any empirical data, we cannot find a basis upon which to conclude, as a matter of fact or evidence, that the postponement affected voter turnout, as a consequence of which the first petitioner alone, as a presidential candidate, suffered disadvantage. At any rate, the nature of the ballot being an individual decision and secret, there may be other factors to which the turnout in the named units can be attributed. From the evidence on record, however, it appears to us that 2022 general election recorded one of the lowest turnouts since the introduction of multi-party political systems some 30 years ago. If there was a low voter turnout, it affected our view rise elsewhere, but certainly not a calculated suppression. On the other hand, in rebuttal to these claims, IEBC illustrated with examples to our satisfaction that there was no nexus between the postponement of elections and voter turnout in the affected units. Far from the fact that this claim was undoubtedly just another red herring. It has nothing to do with the question under review, and accordingly we reject it and hold that there is no proof that the postponement resulted in voter suppression to the detriment of the first petitioner. Whether there were unexplainable discrepancies between the votes cast for presidential candidates and other elective positions. Issue number 5. The first petitioner was categorical that there was systemic ballot stuffing in certain counties, mainly in the Rift Valley and central parts of Kenya, where, according to him, a total of 33,028 votes were cast for president only, without corresponding votes for the other elective positions. On the part of IEBC and the chairperson, while acknowledging that he did in some instances there was vote differential between those cast for president and for other positions, but maintained that they were insignificant, and those instances related to votes by prisoners and citizens in the diaspora who only vote for the president but did not take part in other elective positions. The differential also includes rejected ballot papers and stray votes which do not count as valid votes. The well-established principle that the person who asserts a fact must prove it casts the burden upon the first petitioner issue number 6, whether IEBC carried out the verification, tallying, and declaration of results in accordance with Article 138, 3C, and 138(10) of the Constitution. This issue arises from the printings in all the petitions as consolidated. Based on the said printings, the affidavits sworn in support thereof, and the written and oral submissions by parties, two viewpoints regarding the meaning, scope, and application of Article 138, 3C, and 10 of the Constitution have been advanced. On the one hand, the petitioners submit that pursuant to the foregoing provisions, the role of verifying and tallying of votes as received from polling stations countrywide and not the chairperson of the commission. It is the action of other commissioners. They submit that the language of Article 138(3)(c) does not envisage a situation where the chairperson can arrogate to himself unfettered authority to verify the contempt would not only be unconstitutional, election of a president-elect. In support of their argument, the petitioners cite the Court of Appeal decision in IEBC versus Maina Kiai and 5 others as affirmed by this court in the case of Raila 2017. The petition is unconstitutional to the extent that it purports to vest the power of verification and tallying in the chairperson of IEBC. On the other hand, the first, second, and third respondents submit that power to verify, tally, and declare results of a presidential election at the National Tallying Center is the exclusive preserve of the chairperson of IEBC. According to them, there is nothing unconstitutional about Regulation 87(3) of the Elections General Regulations. The same regulation the respondents submit makes no mention of commissioners other than the chairperson. At any rate, the respondents argue Article 138(3)(c) of the Constitution does not envisage who personally undertake the task of verifying and tallying the results as entered into the thousands of Forms 34A. Such an undertaking would be humanly impossible, they submit. For good measure, the respondents submit that Section 11A of the IEBC Act provides that the chairperson and members of the commission are responsible for the formulation of policy and strategy of the commission and oversight. In their view, the Act does not contemplate a situation where commissioners would be directly involved in the verification and tabulation of presidential election results. The task of verification and tallying, as stated by the respondent, is executed by the staff of the Commission under the direction and supervision of the Commission Secretary, who in turn reports to the chairperson. As to whether the chairperson acted unilaterally in verifying and tallying the presidential election results at the National Tallying Center, the petitioners claim that indeed this is what happened. It is the petitioner's case that the chairperson published an illegal Gazette Notice number 4956 of 2022, in which he designated himself as the presidential returning officer, a position unknown in law and the Constitution, related to the verification and tallying exercise. On his part, the chairperson of IEBC submitted that although he has the exclusive authority to verify and tally the presidential election results as received at the National Tallying Center, He did involve the other commissioners in the exercise before eventually declaring the final results. He submitted that he did this in the spirit of teamwork. The chairperson of IEBC states that indeed the four commissioners were involved in the preparation of the 9th August general elections from the time of their swearing into office all the way to the verification and tallying of results at the National Tallying Center until they withdrew from the exercise just when he was set to declare the final results. Having considered all the parties' submissions, we find that pursuant to Article 138(3)(c) of the Constitution, the power to verify and tally presidential election results as received at the National Tallying Center vests not in the chairperson of IEBC, but in the commission itself. The latter carries out this exercise through its secretariat staff, technical personnel, and any other persons hired for that purpose under the oversight and supervision of the chairperson and in Raila Amolo Odinga versus another versus IEBC and two others, popularly known as Raila 2017, and the Court of Appeal decision in IEBC versus Maina Kiai. We also find that the chairperson cannot arrogate to himself the power to verify and tally the results of a presidential election to the exclusion the results of a presidential election after verification and tallying is vested in the chairperson. He does so only as a delegate of the commission. Consequently, to the extent that Regulation 87(3) of the Elections General Regulation report received at the National Tallying Center solely on the chairperson to and inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. That said, we however take cognizance of the fact that the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th respondents in the verification and tallying exercise from the beginning up to the and until just before the declaration of the results by the chairperson. They took turns announcing the results as verified and tallied and were present and active during the actual verification and tallying at Bomas. An example is when one of them, Justice Nyangaya, stood on the podium to announce to the public results and also announced an adjustment that had been occasioned by errors of tabulation. The events of 15th August 2022, therefore, came as a surprise. As the public waited for the chairperson of IEBC to declare the final result, sporadic violence broke out at Bomas. The violence swiftly was contained by the security forces, but there was unexpected drama as two different factions of the commission began to emerge. Kenyans found themselves watching an appalling split-screen scenario on their television sets. On one part of the screen was the chairperson readying himself to declare the results in accordance with Article 138(10) of the Constitution on the ruins of the Serena Hotel, Nairobi, from where they announced that they would not own the results that were soon to be declared by their chairperson. The four commission results terming them opaque due to the manner in which the chairperson had been conducting the verification and tallying exercise. 2. Justice Nyangaya affirmed that the chairperson's actions during the tallying and verification exercise at Bomas made it difficult to ascertain the total number of votes cast and the actual number of votes attained by each candidate, so as to enable him authoritatively state the commission and declared accurate results. All the petitioners have anchored on the walkout from. They contend that by rejecting results on grounds of opaqueness of the verification and tallying process. They called into question the credibility of the entire election. They further submitted that being in the majority out of the 7-member commission, their view should prevail and the election should be nullified. It is the petitioner's argument, therefore, that a dysfunctional commission cannot deliver a credible election. We note that apart from their 11th hour denunciation of the verification and tallying process and their averments regarding the conduct of the chairperson, the 4 commissioners have not placed before this court any information or document showing that the elections were either compromised or that the result would have substantially differed from that declared. Not explain why they participated in a verification process when they knew that it was opaque up until the last minute. Indeed, petitioners acknowledge that thus far the entire election had been managed efficiently and credibly. A stoic silence, even as things appeared to be falling apart. All this, in our view, points to a serious malaise in the governance of an institution entrusted with one of the monumental tasks of midwifing our democracy, an institution that obviously needs far-reaching reforms, of which we shall say more in our detailed reasons. But are we to nullify an election on the basis of a last-minute boardroom rupture, the details of which remain scanty and contradictory between the chairperson of the commission and some of its members? In the absence of any evidence of violation of the Constitution and our electoral laws, how can we upset an election in which the people have participated without hindrance? As they made their political subjecting the sovereign will of the Kenyan people to the quorum and ticks of IEBC. This we cannot do. Clearly, the current dysfunction 22 election. In view of the foregoing, we are satisfied that notwithstanding the divisions apparent between the chairperson and the 4 commissioners, IEBC carried out the verification, tallying, and declaration of results in accordance with Article 138(3)(c) and 10 of the Constitution. Issue number 7. Whether the declared president-elect attained 50 plus 1 of all the votes cast in accordance with Article 138 of the Constitution. The first, second, and third petitioners averred that the first respondent did not garner 50% plus 1 of the total votes cast, and therefore did not meet the threshold provided by Article 138(4)(a) of the Constitution. They anchored the percent plus 1 of the votes cast. This ought to be calculated based on the total number of votes cast, excluding rejected votes. They argued that were the valid votes cast, which amounted to 7,176,582.77 votes. They therefore contended that by attaining 7,176,141 votes, the first respondent did not meet the constitutional threshold to be declared president-elect. Supporting the claim that the first respondent did not meet the 50 plus 1 constitutional threshold was the 6th petitioner. His contention was founded on the backdrop of a press after the official closure of voting on 9 August 2022. A According to the sixth petitioner, the chairperson of IEBC announced that the voter turnout was 65.4%, which were functional during the process of voting. In addition, the sixth petitioner urged that the voter turnout of 65.4% did not include some 238 polling stations where the KIMS kit had malfunctioned, necessitating use of the manual register. It was therefore urged that the minimum number of votes cast could not be less than 14,466,779. Additionally, that this number was bound to increase once the number of votes from the areas that used the manual register were included. The sixth petitioner further claimed that a summation of the minimum number of votes cast and untallied manual votes would represent the actual voter turnout. In challenging the declaration made by the chairperson of IEBC, the sixth petitioner affirmed that the final tally published 641 votes cast, including some 614 rejected ballots. The sixth petitioner contended that this tally did not factor in some 140,138 votes cast using the manual register. The sixth petitioner computed this number by subtracting 14,326,641 declared votes cast from 14,466,779 generated by the sixth petitioner as representing 65.4% of the voter turnout. Referring to the tallies in Form 34C, the sixth petitioner summed the number of votes cast as follows. Raila Odinga, 6,942,193. William Ruto, 7,176,141. Wahiga Mwaura, 31,987, and George adding to a total of 138,000 arranged to be untallied votes, and this yielded a total of 14 million. According to him, garnered 49.9%, Raila Odinga 48.3%, Wahiga 0.22%, and Wanjakoya 0.3%. It is on this basis that the sixth petitioner grounded the claim that none of the candidates met the constitution of the and its chairperson disputed the sixth petitioner's claim. They submitted that the declaration of results is based on the number of people identified as having voted on the KIMS kit and not the total persons on the voters register as arranged. They contended that the final voter turnout comprising of the voters who were identified through the KIMS kit and those who voted manually was 60.